bigger homes we have are in the northern end.
Okay, you're good, John.
Good evening, everyone.
Today is Wednesday, June 14th. The time is 7:08 p.m., and this meeting is called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brescher. Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Patil.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Here.
Madam Clerk, adequate notice, please.
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by an annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Sentinel, Desi Talk on December 1st, 2022, and posted in the lobby municipal complex on that same date.
Thank you. In regards to Council President remarks, I just going to go over the procedure in regards to when the public comes up to speak. Speakers are allotted 6 minutes per speaking portion, with 1 3-minute rebuttal provided per meeting. For clarification, a rebuttal means you are commenting on another comment made by someone else on a topic not originally addressed by the speaker and which you have a differing opinion on. I've requested the Deputy Clerk to announce when speakers have 1 minute remaining in their speaking time. Any questions presented are to be addressed to the Council President. Council is not required to address questions. However, I will afford the opportunity to respond on questions only. Any responses by the Council or administration to posed questions will count against the speaker's time, and time will not be halted. If you have a series of questions, I request to ask them together so all are presented and you won't have to worry about time expiring. I will leave it up to the speaker as to how to utilize your time. I will also request that if Council wishes to make comment on general comments, to wait until after the public portion is closed so that we can make sure that all of the public can present whatever they wish to speak on. When a speaker comes up to the podium, I will request the speaker's name and address. I ask everyone to please be respectful of one another and maintain decorum throughout tonight's proceedings. And with that, let's get started. First, approval of volunteer firefighters. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to
Second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Council Vice President Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 6, calendar year 2023 municipal and solid waste budget. A, introduction of calendar year 2023 municipal budget. Can I get a motion to introduce?
I move this ordinance be passed on first reading, published according to law for further consideration of the public hearing set down for, what's the date?
This is not an ordinance.
Oh, it's not.
It's a resolution.
I'm
so
sorry.
I think that at this point in time, it's just a motion to introduce.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion to introduce.
Seconded.
Motion to introduce by Council Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Patil. And just for reference, public hearing would be set for July 26, 2023. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes for introduction.
Council President Pointer.
Yes.
No, it's just introduction. Yeah. And then
B, introduction of calendar year 2023 solid waste budget. Can I get a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
Motion by Councilman Coyle.
Second.
Second by, who was it? Tie goes to the runner. Second by Councilman Patel.
Patel.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes for introduction.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. 7, approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Councilman Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. 8, unfinished business. Ordinances for further consideration, public hearing, and final adoption. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance.
Ordinance amends Chapter 10 entitled Police Regulations, Article 12, Graffiti, Section 10-12.6, removal of graffiti to conform with NJSA 40:48 2-59, municipal powers to abate graffiti.
At this time, I'd like to open it up to the public for any comment on the ordinance. Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close.
Motion to, okay. Motion to close the public portion.
Motion by Councilman Coyle,
Second.
second by Council
Fine.
Vice President Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public portion is now closed. Can I get a motion on the ordinance?
Motion.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Councilman Patil, second by Councilman Patel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. Motion passes. 9, new business. Proposed ordinances, public hearing set down for Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance.
Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limit and to establish a cap bank.
Can I get a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patil.
I move this ordinance be passed on first reading, published according to law for further consideration and public hearing set down for Wednesday, June 20th, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Council Vice President Harris. Any council comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
No.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance.
Ordinance amending Chapter 27 Department of Sewer and Water by amending subsection 27.7-6 prohibited waste.
Can I get a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
No. I move this ordinance be passed on first reading, published according to law for further consideration and public hearing set down for, what are we saying? Wednesday, June 28th.
Seconded.
Motion by Council Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Patil. Any council comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel. Yes. Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the public for comment on the resolutions only. Sir?
Council President, my name's Richard Skolnick from the law offices of Richard Skolnick. Would you be willing to accept a handout with some materials?
I'm open to it. It has to go through the clerk.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to stay within my time.
Thank you.
Is this on the resolutions?
Council President, members of the council, I'm here on R313. R313, one of the area need designations with condemnation. My law firm is at 75 Main Street in Milburn. I represent 1810 Route 27 LLC. Diana Chu is the principal, and this concerns Block 160C, Lot 1801. The parcel is at the intersection of Route 27 and Plainfield Avenue, and the parcel is about 25,000 square feet, which is a little more than half an acre. Ms. Chu acquired the property in the middle of COVID on March 16, 2021, and has taken substantial steps to clean up the property since then in anticipation of redeveloping the entire site. You're probably aware that Resolution 313 deals with an area in need designation with condemnation. With condemnation. So this matter involves that awesome governmental power of eminent domain, the taking of a person's private property by force against their will and giving it to another private owner to redevelop. So I'm sure you're going to afford the seriousness that's at stake here. This parcel is not going to be taken for a school, a park, or a road, or one of those other traditional public purposes. It's going to be taken from one private property owner and given to another private enterprise. I am asking you, I am imploring you to remove this resolution from tonight's agenda and work with my client, the current owner, to redevelop the property. The most important thing to know is that my client is very close to a deal with a national and international retailer that makes gourmet pastries and drinks. They're very close to finalizing a deal. The retailer, as you can see, is called 85 Degrees Bakery. It has over 1,000 locations worldwide, and it wants to come to Edison. It's somewhat familiar or similar to Panera's. A little more high-end, we think. It sells pastries and fancy coffees and cookies, and it wants this very location. You can see a rendering. You can see some pictures on this board. It's in your package of what an 85-degree bakery looks like. Again, 1,000 locations. My client has agreed to tear down the existing structure and build an entirely new 7,000 square foot structure with 38 parking spaces. A site plan has been developed. He hired an engineer. There's a site plan that's in your package. The Walentz firm has negotiated the lease. Let me offer 3 quick comments for your consideration. First, there's no emergency here. This matter can be easily carried. The planning board considered this matter 9 months ago. 9 months ago, there was a hearing in this very room on whether the property satisfied the statutory criteria for the blight designation. We had arguments back and forth. The planning board made its recommendations. But for some reason, nothing happened for 9 months. We don't know why, but there's absolutely no emergency. You can easily put this off. Give us a chance to come in and show what we can do. Let us meet with the township's development staff and legal team to see if the proposal that my client has is real. See if the tenant is real. See if the owner's commitment to build a new structure on the property is real. See if the financials make sense. See if the governing body and the community can get the guarantees that it needs and it wants without resorting to that awesome power of eminent domain. For many months now, my client has been trying to get a substantive meeting with town officials. It's just taken a really long time. Private development is going to be the quickest way to redevelop this site, not condemnation, not the exercise of that awesome power of taking a private property and giving it to another private property owner, and certainly not litigation. Second, redevelopment is only supposed to happen if the negative property conditions are, quote, not likely to be corrected or ameliorated by private effort. I put a little quote in there from the local redevelopment and housing law. And the obligation tonight, I'd suggest, is to have a finding that redevelopment will not occur absent private effort. And we have a private party here, the current owner, who's willing to engage in that in good faith. I don't believe you have anything in the record before you that shows the property cannot be corrected or ameliorated throughout private effort. We have a half-acre lot on Route 27 at a busy intersection. The redevelopment is going to be some type of retail with reasonable parking. Please give private capital the chance to do its job. Please give this new owner, who just took over in March of 2021 during COVID, a chance to do his job.
Sorry, I don't want to be rude, but the 6-minute time period has
1 minute?
elapsed.
No,
No,
your time's up.
My time's up.
I do apologize. I do realize I had.
Okay? Any chance of 2 more minutes?
No, your time's up.
At this point, I'm sorry,
No?
sir. We have a 6-minute time limit. I'm sorry,
Okay.
sir.
Did I get the 1 minute warning?
I-
Can I get one last minute, Council
I
President?
have
Did I
to
get
be,
the warning?
sir.
Sound like your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Rich Sweeney, 313 Sutton's Lane. The property the gentleman's speaking about, I've been to this council several times when Lombardi was on the council and Joe was on the council, and you guys know I've been here many times about this property. It was deplorable, broken windows. It's just an eyesore to our town. And he said in 1921, I think he said, what's taken 2 years? What's taken 2 years?
2021, right.
Yep.
What has taken 2 years? I want something done myself as a taxpayer in this town, some kind of beautification and a good rateable. But nice to see you, Mr. Ramon. Thank you.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Council President, I just want to make sure that the attorney knows that the applicant, the owner, can also speak for 6 minutes
Absolutely.
when he's called upon.
Thank you for the clarification. And yes, if you'd like to speak, sir.
Yes, hi, I'm Sebastian Choi. My wife and I, well, my wife is the owner for the building. Now, we
Just before you start, and your
Yes.
time hasn't started, we asked name and address if you're okay with providing.
of course, my full name is Sebastian Gabriel Choi. Address is 36 Spinnaker Drive in Mount Laurel.
Thank you.
Yeah, the progress that we have made since 2021 is very real. As you can see, we have prepared a lease, negotiated all the key aspects. The reason why it wasn't signed is because, in a way, waiting for okay from the township, because the countdown, there are certain contingencies that would start kicking off on that day. Now, and that lease was, as Rick mentioned, was negotiated by Willans. And, you know, who would spend money on lawyers and negotiations unless there's a good faith intent to redevelop the site? Willans isn't cheap. We have an engineer that we hired for the new 7,000 square foot building, spending money on the site, and all for that intention. We also hired a local zoning lawyer who's been working for 30 years with the township, Skip Shihar, as a Sherpa to guide the process. And we basically, since we last met with planning in November, Skip has been requesting like a concept review meeting with the township. And just so you know, I think he initiated the contact in January, but we didn't get a date, and I had him follow up every couple of weeks with the township to get a date, and we only got that on a date confirmed for April 21st. That's how long it took for us to get a concept review with the township. The day that we met, we had that review, we were told immediately that, oh, you know, this site falls under the redevelopment. You have to go to the attorney that was appointed by Edison. So all in all, we were really waiting 4 months just to be told that, you know, you have to go through this other party and then it took him like a couple months to just get a word that this is going to be presented today. So we're putting all of our effort on our end to just move this along, and we haven't seen any the same response from the other end. You know, we suggest to you that what we have here is not a failure of private capital. It's a failure of communication where the township does not know how far I've come. For whatever reason, the township isn't fully aware of the progress that has been made with this prospective client. We don't think the township is fully aware of how close it is to getting what it wants. Really, it feels like we're stuck in the middle of the political process, and that's the only reason why it's not moving along. we ask the governing body to take the reasonable step of adjourning this matter. Let us meet with Mr. Northgrave and Mr. Vignell in good faith so they can vet the tenant, vet the deal as well, financials. You'll have a full corporation. We'll give you whatever you want. We have the capital. I have the tenant. I have the land. I just want to do this deal. And we assure you this is the quickest path to redeveloping this site. Please adjourn this matter for a couple of months so we don't end up in litigation. It's been 9 months already since the planning board made its recommendation to you. Please let me do this deal. It's the deal of a lifetime. It just feels like I'm stuck in a process that, I understand there are procedures to follow, but ultimately I think we all want the same thing. You guys want, the township wants to see a new building, tenant, this beautiful bakery. Really, it's more like Paris baguette, if you will, but it's incredibly popular among the Asian communities. And well, thank you for your consideration today. Sorry, do you have any
No,
questions?
thank you. As I stated in the original, if there are any questions that the council would like to address, I would imagine that we could pull this for a separate vote to have a further discussion, but just to make sure that I'm being fair amongst the guidelines I presented earlier, I had mentioned in regards to specific questions, and unless I missed something, was,
Council President.
yes,
President.
And Council President, if at any point in time you need myself or Mr. Bignell to respond, I'm happy to do that. So you yeah,
Council President,
your
the,
call, Council President.
I would prefer to leave it with the guidelines that I said. I have no issue pulling this for a separate vote so that we can have that further discussion, but in respect to the guidelines that I stated before and respect to other people that may wish to speak, if that's, I appreciate the understanding, and hopefully I don't come off as disrespectful. Thank you, sir.
Council President, you're going to call this for a separate, I was going to call it for a separate.
Council
vote
President.
During,
I have a feeling it will be pulled for
Okay,
a separate
all right,
vote,
fine.
so.
Council President, could you ask a question to the councilor?
If
time or
we
not?
can, during
Wait, okay.
the actual,
Wait, not a problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the understanding. Anyone else from the public in regards to the agenda only? Sir? Resolutions, apologies.
Thank you for recognizing me.
I will ask name and address. I understand the rights. If you don't wish to state, please say no, and we'll start your time.
You can identify me as George Orwell. Am I recognized?
You're recognized, sir.
Thank you. Resolution R312. How many temporary emergency appropriations did we do so far this year?
Would you like to have all of your questions presented first before the response, or
You
would
can
you like
just
to?
let me know the amount of numbers, and then I can continue on my way. Depending on your answer, I'll go this way, maybe a different way.
If it's okay, would you be okay with presenting the questions?
Absolutely.
Together? I appreciate it.
I'm not
Thank
sure if it's definitely not the second one. I'm just confused if it's the third, fourth, or fifth one. When we had Mayor Lankey, he never would do 5 emergency appropriations within a year. We're not even halfway. We're halfway through the year now. He never did this. Normally, why wasn't Mayor Sam Joshi here in March to speak about the municipal budget? Every year, Mayor Lankey, he would sit here. I mean, Mayor Joshi did it 2 years ago when Councilman Coyle kept on ordering the police to remove me for making my public comments, but this year he didn't do it. Why hasn't Sam Joshi came here to answer questions about the municipal budget?
And just for clarification, because the budget is a separate item from this consent agenda resolution, if we can maintain within the consent agenda, I'd appreciate it.
I understand, but because I'm speaking for R312, And I am speaking for the municipal budget now, and I'm trying to understand why we're doing 4 or 5 emergency appropriations within halfway through the year. Did he go through all the money that you guys approved for him?
This specific emergency appropriation was in regards to a grant being received, and therefore, because the funds were being received, we had to appropriate it.
Okay. R327, resolution authorizing professional services contract for the police firearms range. We don't have a police firearms range?
We do,
Okay. So this is just to upgrade it?
yes.
Okay. Where's the firearms range?
Basement of this building, isn't it? It's in the basement of the police department.
In the basement? Chief Brian, why don't you invite me to the firearms range and we can shoot a little bit, you know? It's community orienting policing unit, Joyce. You know, it's a way to involve the community, not just to go running with members of the community. Let's go to the shooting range together, you know? I'd like to go to the shooting range. Would you be willing to invite me, Chief Brian, to the shooting range? After I beat my cases, of course. So it will be legal. You don't want to answer that? Okay. How much time do I have left, Marlena?
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes? Under Robert's Rules of Order, am I allowed to take my time and donate it to this
No.
gentleman? Or do we follow, at the beginning of the year, our council members not only took an oath to Robert's Rules of Order, they also took an oath to the United States Constitution and the New Jersey State Constitution.
Well, by the way, they didn't take, just for the record, they didn't take an oath to the Robert's Rules of Order, just for the record. Nobody does. They took an oath to the federal and state constitution and the laws of the United States and the laws of the state. But leaving that aside, the answer is, we don't allow you to, it's not Robert's Rules of Orders, we don't allow you by our rules to give your time to somebody else.
Does Edison Town Council follow Robert's Rules of Order?
Just to maintain, this is in regards to the resolutions. so we
Correct.
can
Oh,
maintain.
Good job, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'm against all of them. I'm against every single one of them. We have a lot of liquor. I haven't seen so many liquor licenses.
I think by law, they have to be individualized now versus combined.
Yeah, and they get renewed every year in June. Every liquor license.
Okay. How many liquor licenses did we give out this year?
We didn't give them out. These are liquor licenses that exist, right?
Yeah,
They're the ones that exist, yes.
these are renewals. These aren't.
How many liquor licenses went out to bid?
This year?
The clerk said 4?
4, yeah.
4.
Consumption and 2 distribution.
2? So we did. We gave out 2 new liquor licenses. You just told me no.
Sorry, I meant in regards to the
We're
resolutions
talking
here.
about the resolutions.
Okay.
These are renewals. These aren't new liquor licenses.
I
They're
understand,
renewals.
but I asked the question. My question was how many new licenses we gave out this year. You said no.
My apologies
gave
for
out 2.
misunderstanding the question.
Okay. How much time do I have left, Marlena?
40 seconds.
40 seconds? Okay. I'd really like to go to the shooting range with you guys after I beat my cases. Yeah, and in regards to R312, if you guys are going to keep asking for more temporary emergency appropriations, I think it would be appropriate for Mayor Sam Joshi to do what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to come in here, have a public meeting for the municipal budget. Why wasn't it done this year? Is it going to be done this year? It is going to be done this year.
Thank you. In regards to the quantity of temporary appropriations, just by definition and resolution, this would be the 6th. But again, under the definition of the appropriations, there were many different types, so to say. Thank you. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on the resolutions only? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close
Second.
public portion?
Motion by Council Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Toyle. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the public portion is now closed. At this time, ask if there are any resolutions to be pulled for a separate vote. Starting from my right, Councilman Coyle.
Council President, I'd like to request council advice to amend Resolution 313 and remove the property that was just discussed here before the council by the attorney. That would be 1810 Route 27. Could we amend that Resolution 313, removing that property?
From a procedural standpoint, why don't we pull it for a separate vote, and then we can make a motion to any modifications at that point. Would
Okay.
that be the-
And Councilman, I respectfully, of course,
Okay, no problem.
allow me to comment before you
Okay,
do that.
well, I'll wait on that. No problem, Council President. 313, I'd like to pull, please. That's it.
Thank you. Council Vice President Harris?
Yes, regarding 313, is it possible to have Mr. Bignell speak to this?
And we can have the comments during the poll portion.
I think
when
that was the
discussing.
point. I think that myself and Mr. Bignell might want to
Right.
comment
Right.
when you discuss that resolution. Yes, thank you.
Okay. And I just have a question on R326.
So why don't we pull that for a separate vote? That's okay?
Yep.
Yes. Councilman Patel?
None, sir.
Councilman Patil?
None at this time.
Councilwoman Schiff Freeman?
Well, you know, I like 313 because I had spoken that on a Monday. I spoke about that on Monday already, and 320, pull that for a separate vote.
Yes. It's the DCA grant. So it's just 213 and 320.
So the consent agenda will be resolutions 308 through 312, 314 through 319, 321 through 325, and 327 through 358. This means that R313, R320, and R326 would be pulled for a separate vote.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patil?
just to bring the transparency, I think we should pull 315 for the separate vote. People should not confuse Councilman Nishit Patel and the Nishit Patel as a developer,
Yes.
just for the clarification.
That's a good point.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
And we'll pull 315
For
for
a separate vote.
a separate vote.
Good catch there, Councilman.
All right, so for a separate vote, it would be 313, 315, 320, and 326. Any other items for poll?
Can we pull the police gun range? 327. 327. Sorry about that.
All right. So 327. So it would be 308 through 312, 314, 316 through 319, 321 through 325, and 328 through 358, with 313, 315, 320, 326, 327 pulled for a separate vote.
Thank you.
All right. With that, can I get a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
So a motion to approve by Councilman Patel, second by Councilman Coyle. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Patil?
Yes.
Councilmember Schiff Freeman?
Yes.
Council President Pointer?
Yes. For simplicity, we'll go down numerically. So first, R13, 313, redevelopment, the redevelopment plans.
Council President, can I?
Yes, allow for our attorney to.
If I can, and then I would ask that maybe Mr. Bignell also comment. So you have two handouts tonight. You have the handout, which is the redevelopment study that was done by the planning board and Mr. Bignell, and then you have what was handed out by the attorney for, not the property owner, by the way, and not the tenant, because there is an assigned lease, but by somebody who's interested in leasing the property. On page 20 of the report that Mr. Bignell provided to you, and actually it's 20 through 27, shows you the actual pictures of this property, because I noticed that council gave us very beautiful pictures of properties that don't exist, not in Edison at least, and there's some context to all of this. The redevelopment law is put there to help develop properties that have difficulty being developed, as council said. This property has been in this condition since at least 2004. In fact, the council in those years put it in a non-condemnation redevelopment area in an attempt to get it redeveloped, and because it was a non-condemnation redevelopment area, it never got developed. It's been in this condition, and it's basically deplorable. It meets all of the criteria, and it has substantial environmental issues. So classically fits the definition of an area in need of redevelopment. But the most important part is that I think we should talk a little bit about what the process is. So putting this in a condemnation redevelopment area does not preclude the gentleman who came here to speak tonight from being the redeveloper for this property. In fact, logically, in most redevelopments, it is the property owner or somebody who has an interest in the property who becomes the redeveloper. So it's not always, I know, and I don't fault counsel for doing this. Everybody talks about the awesome power of condemnation. I've argued cases in the Supreme Court on condemnation where everybody talks about that, but that's not what redevelopment is. It's a tool to create development. So the logical and most fitting way to do it is to designate the property, adopt a redevelopment plan, and work with a property owner, because nobody wants to go through condemnation. That's just typical. But what you've seen in this property, and this is a classic example of it, is without the power of condemnation, generally these things go nowhere. Because if people don't have that impetus to move forward and develop, or the property is going to be purchased and is going to be given to somebody else, these properties don't get developed. So, and I'm not suggesting that this is the case, but more often than not, you have people who come in and speculate on properties to see if they can get kind of everything that they want. And that building that you see it designed for, first, I'm not sure it meets any of our zoning criteria. There's no redevelopment plan for this property. It is a property that has a substantial environmental deed restriction on it. I'm not sure it can be used for anything other than a parking lot, but leaving that aside, all of that will be sussed out in the redevelopment process. And of course, anybody who is an interested party can participate in that property, in that process. But it is important. I never thought it was a good argument to say that there's no urgency because nothing's happened on this property forever. Well, the answer is at some point in time, the nothing has to stop. And this doesn't preclude this property owner and his counsel from participating in the process. But at some point in time, you have to start to move in a different direction. And it is, and in my experience, and you know, it's a little bit of it, maybe 30 or 40 years of it in redevelopment context, without a condemnation component, then it just drags on. This is the spark that you need to get this done. But more importantly, and this is the kind of the end, and I'll let maybe turn it over to Hank, what you're doing tonight is not condemning anybody's property. Let's make sure we understand that. All you're doing is designating it as an area in need of redevelopment with condemnation. So we can move to the next step and develop a redevelopment plan that might make sense. And I don't know, maybe the redevelopment plan that, by the way, you're going to adopt by ordinance, right? You're going to have it again. The planning board's going to see it again. Maybe it allows for, you know, the bakery that's there, that, you know, the picture that you're seeing that you were handed out of bakeries that are in California or whatever they are, maybe they're going to come here. But if you don't do this, then what's going to happen is that 4 or 5 months from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now, we're going to be sitting here with this property again. There's not going to be any movement on the development because the zoning's not in place for it. There's no impotence to move forward. You have a lease, but you don't really have a copy of the lease. You have a copy of 4 pages of an unsigned lease, right? So that's all you have here. So we don't know. There's 1,000 contingencies in it. It's not signed. You need, you know, at some point in time, you need to start to kind of move forward with these properties, and non-condemnation redevelopment areas don't move forward. It's the spark that gets it moving forward. And you know, the last piece, and I'll start where I began. If this property was capable of being developed without government assistance, it would have been developed. I mean, we know that about Edison, right? Properties that can be developed in Edison get developed. These properties are just, they're eyesores. They need to get done, and they need to get concluded. I don't know, Hank, if you have anything you want to add.
Just just because I want to be respectful to Councilman Toyle and Councilwoman Freeman, do you have any questions first, and then
I think the counselor covered a lot that I wanted to make sure we understood because just on a side discussion, I've known this property since 1993. I may go back to cleaning up graffiti on this site with the clerk when we were volunteering 27 years ago. So, I mean, and I do appreciate the concerted effort the attorney made, and I understand the entrepreneurship of what you want to do to move forward. But I'm concerned whether or not things will move forward, and we have a position today to move forward. And if it still leaves a window open for you to be a part of that, fantastic. I'm quite sure you would have support for that. The part that I worry about is whether it'll happen or not. Now, Hank, just a question, Council President, can I ask Hank a question?
Absolutely.
Hank, didn't we approve this about 7 years ago for a barbecue at one time as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 7 years ago, I just want to give a little history of the property. The gas station has been condemned for a long time. It's definitely contaminated. The prior owners got bankrupt out of it. They were from Florida. I met them. They were 85 years old. They got choked out of the property through the governing body, new changes of laws and environment. And then it was taken over by whom I don't know. And then we knocked the building down finally, or made the owner knock it down.
The gas station.
One of the other gas stations.
Gas station.
And then the property, and I'm not asking for a back and forth questioning. Then I saw an approval for a barbecue and got excited 7 years ago when I got on the council. Said finally going to be something. So, it's challenging for the residents when this new administration is very, very aggressive on abandoned properties, and I think this window is now to move forward. But I can't help but feel the wisdom of your spirit to move forward with your plan. So I just going to lean to the counselor. If this is just a step in the direction to keep the push going, I'm going to support this resolution.
Thank you. Councilwoman Freeman?
Even on Monday, I spoke about this because normally we had a redevelopment committee, and I would sit with the lawyer and he would explain all the details and everything to us about the actual properties that were redevelopment on. Now, I understand because we overdeveloped in Edison, and so on Monday, I expressed my concern about what was going into the spots that we were condemning and that we were getting rid of, because that's very important to me. What are we putting there at all? So, and I spoke to Councilman AJ, and he said that we probably would have another opportunity. But I'm kind of want to know what we would put in that place, in those places, and so that's the way I'm looking at it. I want to know what we're going to put in places, what we're going to do for redevelopment, and you guys have brought up a good project there. So, I mean, that's just one of the lots. So that's why I'm looking at it,
Yes,
And Councilman, I don't know if that was a question, and you will have that opportunity, right? Because you're going to, the redevelopment plan is a township ordinance. It's a zoning ordinance. So the time will come for you to, have this in front of you, and then you'll get to make that decision as to what goes there and what doesn't go there. Right. And you have to approve a redevelopment agreement if there's a redevelopment. The point of redevelopment, and sometimes it gets lost in the sauce, is it actually gives councils much more control over it, because you have to approve who's going to develop it, and you have to approve the redevelopment agreement as to specifically what's going to go there. Unlike unlike a normal zoning ordinance where you just pass an ordinance and then it goes to the planning board and you hear about it. You actually get to sign off on it, and that's why we put these properties in redevelopment areas.
The only thing is that I just like I said before, I like to be more transparent. I would like to have sat with maybe three of us and maybe you, like I used to sit with Northgrave, and when he would go through the different properties and talk about, what would be whatever before we make a decision as a group, we would be able to do it in layman's terms, so that everybody, even the people that are watching us, understands exactly what we're doing and how we're moving forward.
And on a going forward basis, we can make that happen for you.
Thank you. Councilman Patil?
Thank you, Council President. I knew there will be debate on this topic. We have had approved multiple redevelopment sites in the past. In fact, there was a slowdown in the last few years, but this administration has taken a very bold and aggressive step, and I'm happy to see the bad properties are finally getting cleaned up, and we are moving this town forward. This topic is a little complex, and I know, attorney, you tried explaining it multiple times. This is the first step in a process. We are sending this back to the planning board, and as he said, you will have an opportunity to participate in the process. Having said that, once it goes to the planning board, they will determine once they pass the resolution of area in need of redevelopment and condemnation need, there will be hearing, and you can participate in that. As well, this council will also get the plan. This is not that we are approving everything and this is done. This council will get an opportunity to see what's going to be on that property. So this is not all said and done, and I'm not really a big fan of big pictures before even the planning board decides what can be done on that site. So yes, we can come up with the glorified pictures. Probably I can put there a big tower, but is that really allowed in that zone? We don't know that yet. So once we get that feedback from the planning board and the plan, what potentially can happen on that, probably that can have another debate. Is it a good thing to do, or probably we can defer it? Not tonight. Tonight is just passing this resolution, sending back to the planning board so they can do their due diligence in terms of what this suits for. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, sir.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman Cole.
Just to the counselor, when this process takes place and the planning board reviews this property further, if there's any benefits of expansion or change of use, that benefit could also reflect the current owner, and if he's qualified, he could be the developer of that new opportunity.
Absolutely.
Correct. Okay, so today the zone is the zone, but if there is something else that is sought or seen created by the planning boards passed to the council, then that would be an opportunity that this property could have a new opportunity.
Correct.
Okay. And full disclosure, I'm a baker, so it's not like I don't care about a new bakery coming to the town. But and it's a lot of great growth is going on 27. But sadly, my thoughts are already made up because I've waited about 27 years for this property, and I wish I could have walked you through when I was at this property when I had a lot of hair and I was 22. But it's been that long. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Mr. Bignell, would you like to provide any additional context?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I just want to point out a few things. First, I've met with this gentleman on several occasions. So when his attorney says that we haven't reached out or spoken to him, that's really not a fair comment. I'm available every Friday morning. I have a board upstairs. You can come see me anytime you like. The last time I guess the applicant said we spoke in April, which we did. We also spoke in November. And at both times, I explained to him the process. And I said, you're probably in a unique position because it's already in need of redevelopment. Now we get to create the new zoning for this particular piece of property. Please do something. Tear down the building. Do something. Apply for an application. And what the gentleman said is exactly what he told me in April, though. Exactly what he told me in November, that, we hired an engineer. We're going to have a site plan. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And like the board attorney just said, that until we got to this point, we don't hear or we don't see an application. And that's been part of the problem here. We want to move forward with this whole thing. There's no reason why he can't be the redeveloper. He owns the property. That'd be great. The zoning that we create for him could probably make it a lot prettier on that corner. We could work out some of the environmental things where parking goes and the building goes. I made you a copy of the redevelopment plan that we did that was presented to the planning board. We had the public hearing. People spoke on it. The planning board referred it all back, all those properties on Route 27, because there's subsections. I think this is subsection B. We gave you the history of all the properties. We went back to old minutes. We went into detail why and how long these properties have been vacant and what criteria they meet under the housing redevelopment and housing law. There's 7 criteria for the board. You need a planner to say which ones, and it only needs one criteria to apply, and then the planning board's allowed to move forward with the need of redevelopment study. And they voted to pass the redevelopment study as it stands, and it's been presented to you. So again, there's been a lag of, say, I guess, the report was done in August of last year, so there's been several months. Still, there's no application pending, so the process has not been, they have not kept up with the process. They can certainly meet with us anytime they like, be more than happy to, discuss it with them. I think it's a unique opportunity for the owner of the property because we can adjust the zoning for them with the new redevelopment plan. That'll become the overlay zoning, which the council has the power to create. Nobody else, not the planning board, it's the council. And if you go through the report, every report basically is the same because we lay out all the procedures. We also lay out the criteria. We also lay out the steps that it takes to get a property into redevelopment. It's all in this report. So please, I made you a copy tonight. I even did it in color for you so you can you read the maps a little easier. And this is the blueprint for all redevelopment plans that'll come forth or go through to the council and to the planning board. Short of that, I've made myself amenable many times to this gentleman to discuss this thing. I've met with Skip Shire. Skip called me about it today. I explained to him that he should come tonight and state their position again. But at our last meeting, this gentleman said he was going to tear down the building. Well, nothing's happened. That would be a sign of good faith that they're going to remove the building. Now, let's remove the building and get the property, ready for development. That would be a good thing for the council. But I make myself amenable to everybody that comes into the town hall. Every Friday morning I'm here. I go out of my way to make sure that you get their answers, and I've done that even when I was just your consultant for many, many, many years. So I kind of take offense at that a little bit. But other than that, if you have any questions, I'd be sure glad to answer them for you on the other properties as well. They're all in detail. You can see pictures of them. They're in very dilapidated condition. I think subsection A with the one building, there was a DACA cabinet company, Doba Cabinet. They came to see us in a concept. But they're tearing down a single-family house, and they want to replace it with, stores and, 16 units on a little piece of property, which is not going to fly. It's got to be reasonable, too. So it has to fit, has to work. So those are the things that we'll have to work out with the redevelopment plan portion.
Thank you. If I can just ask two questions. If it were determined that condemnation was the right route, because if I'm understanding correctly, condemnation does not necessarily have to be on the table, even though if it's designated as an area in need of redevelopment with condemnation powers. Am I understanding that correct?
You can
Correct.
create.
Yeah, the fact that it contains condemnation doesn't necessarily mean you have to use condemnation.
So if the redevelopment plan, and I know Mr. Nordgrave hated hypotheticals, but if in theory the redevelopment plan did stipulate condemnation in it, our body could technically say, no, we don't want that in the plan, if there were further discussions and alignments as to what may go there.
Well, more importantly, even if it was in the plan, you'd have to vote to condemn the property. So there are so many other steps that go along here. First, before you ever got to a point where you were going to vote on an ordinance authorizing condemnation, you would have already adopted a redevelopment plan, designated a developer, approved a redevelopment agreement, done all of those things before you would ever even get to a point where you'd have to have a discussion as to whether or not you would authorize condemnation. So the answer is you'll have all of those steps during the way. But the reason I tell you that it needs to be in the plan is because without it, exactly what Mr. Bignell described happened over the last year and over the last 30 years is exactly what's going to happen. It is going to, there's no impetus to move forward. So it's, we're putting an end on this, and you're in control of how we get to the end.
I appreciate the clarification. And the second clarification, in regards to what what could potentially go there, that would be the next step that we would be taking, because that would be the redevelopment, the plan development by the planning board.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's It's a planning board, once again, develops a plan, and then they give it to you, and it becomes effectively a zoning ordinance, so then it goes back to council.
Sorry, that's.
Yes.
Yes. Any other questions or concerns? No. Hearing none, can I get a motion on the resolution?
Motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion to
or-
approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Coyle, second by Councilman Patel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
I'm going to abstain.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. Motion passes. 315. The resolution provides for refund developer escrow fees for Ship Patel. Yeah, just get clarification as to why it was.
Yeah, the reason I pulled this one is it reflects again, it is a printed and it is online agenda. It says the name resembles with my council colleague, Councilman Nishit Patel. Don't want somebody taking a picture and saying why councilman is supporting his own resolution. It's unfair on his part, and that's the reason I pulled this for separate vote to make it clear that the Councilman Nishit Patel is not the Nishit Patel that's on the resolution. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Any other questions, comments?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patel.
I do want to point out that the person is missing the last H. That's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Can I get a motion on the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Council Vice President Harris. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman. Yes. Council President Pointer.
Yes. Motion passes. Resolution 320 in regards to the DCA grant application. Councilwoman Ship Freeman?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the final question. Will this hold up us from actually completing the Jets Warner project if we don't get this $1 million?
To our BA.
It won't, but it's additional funding, so any funding we receive, I think we want to achieve that.
No, so regardless of whether we get this or not, we're going to finish the Jets
Correct.
field. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
None.
Seeing none, can I get a motion on the resolution?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Council Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Patel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Pointer.
Yes. R 326, firework discharge for Independence Day at the Plainfield Country Club. I believe Councilwoman,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Council Vice President
Yeah,
Harris.
just a question about venue. So these fireworks are not being held at Papiani Park? These are separate?
Oh, no, this is the private one.
Correct.
There is one for us, too.
There is.
There will be
Oh.
one for us, but this one is for the I'm assuming Plainfield Country Club probably has an event for their members
For
on
the
that day.
members.
Is
Correct.
that
There are
correct?
two separate resolutions.
And it's two
The-
separate resolutions. So this is a private,
Oh, I'm
private permit.
I'm sorry, I missed the 325. Okay, gotcha. We're good.
Any other questions or comments? Can I get a motion on the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Councilman Patel. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
President Pointer.
Yes. And R 327, Councilman Patel, I believe?
Yes. I just had a quick question for the chief. What kind of renovation are we looking to do here? Because we had questions on Monday, and we weren't quite sure as to why the expenses came out to $46,000.
The police firing range, Councilman, is antiquated. It was built in 1980. So along the lines, we have to upgrade for today's safety standards. We have POSHA and we have OSHA that come in, and we have to pass these very stringent air quality tests. For example, one port is split into 12 sections, and they have devices that test that. So this part of the renovation for the for the firing range is the ventilation system, and it has to be completed by an engineer and an architect. The people that are doing this are well experienced. They come well recommended by other towns. Also, the county, they did the outdoor range. So we had to fly people in, or we have to fly people in to do what they initially need to do, and then, of course, to finish that job so we can move forward and have the whole thing renovated.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Actually, if I could ask the chief a question by chance. Do we have a budget range as to what the renovations may cost?
Yes, it's when it's all said and done, approximately $500,000.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can I get a motion on the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patel, second by Council Vice President Harris. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Quayle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Poyer.
Yes. All right. At this time, we're going to open up for oral petitions and remarks, starting from the list. First up, Ms. Orchid.
Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who attended the Dwyer Community Gardens opening. Some beds are still available. Please contact Edison Community Gardens Initiative. Thank you to everyone who attended the Juneteenth on Saturday, June 10th. Edison Township Human Relations Commission and the NAACP. Thank you. We had a great event. Thank you for everybody who attended. Tomorrow is Edison Environmental Commission meeting at 7 p.m. Saturday, June 17th, we're having a cleanup on Silver Lake. Any volunteers would be greatly appreciated. That would be through Beautiful Edison and the Edison Environmental Commission. The Ladies Auxiliary of the American Legion will be having a yard sale on Saturday, and that's from 8 to 12. Love to have anybody to come by and support them. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Thank you so much for your continued support and family. Happy Juneteenth, June 19th. The Human Relations will be having a meeting on June 20th, hopefully. Always looking for more members. Please apply. The Short Hills Battlefield, June 25th, is an echo tour. Walt does a wonderful job. Edison Art Society will be having an event at the JCC on June 20th and another event here at Lake Papiani on June 25th. Just wondering how our complete streets are doing. We had a lot of people at the Mayor's Bikes. So we're also looking for more bike lanes and more people to participate in biking around the township. We're looking for no more littering signs, and we're fully supporting your anti-graffiti. If there's any locations that need remediation, please send an email to Beautiful Edison for the location on the graffiti and litter. We're always looking for places to clean up. Any updates on crosswalks, crossing guards, boat basin activity, the public advocate, deer study, and our master plan? I'll leave you by saying I was very disheartened at seeing the recent events on Amboy Avenue. I've heard there was a gas line of some sort being installed and the residents had no idea. We saw these signs posted that say, "Do not park." The way they left the streets is abhorrible. It was beautiful. They were just redone. Now it's this patchwork of what they tore up. We shouldn't be allowed to do that. I understand that they have to do infrastructure, but to leave it in such a disgrace, I'm just concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I got all the questions, but in regards to complete streets, I believe that was just instituted, so still in the early phases, and I know that bypass, Councilman Patel.
Once we pass the budget, a month after, they should have the COs to start getting the lines drawn, at least on the first initial street on near Inman, on the Grove Ave, starting at Inman down. And after that, we're going to work towards getting more bike lanes in. But that's the first step that I know so far.
Thank you. In regards to the crossing guards to our BA, do we have an update as to where we are with that?
Sure. Well, as of the end of this school year, we will be privatizing the crossing guard. The bid was out on the street, and it will be forthcoming in September to have a private company take over. I have to take a look at the bid opening. Once that gets, it'll come to you for approval, of course. So right now, we're in the process of the bidding.
Thank you. In regards to the crosswalks, if it's okay, maybe after the meeting, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what the exact request is. I know we had some that were being repainted already for the schools, discussions at Plainfield, and numerous others. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. In regards to the master plan, Councilwoman Schiff-Freeman, do you have a?
She's talking about, in the master plan, we trying to get sidewalks. I know we want our bike paths, but we trying to just get sidewalks. We'll be happy with that. But their main interest, and it's not just her, everybody in different communities saying whoever's tearing up their streets are just leaving them in disarray. So, I would like somebody to check on that for you guys, because they just keep leaving stuff all over the place. But we're very, very concerned because we did pass a thing so that we could get a grant or something for some sidewalks in this town, because even someone came to a meeting on Monday and complained about sidewalks. It's really disheartening that we don't have places for people to walk at all. So I'm just telling you, we're trying our best to get sidewalks lined up for the town. I'm telling you that. And I don't know, well, the part of your street that the Edison took over because of Councilmember Coyle, I think, helped us take that part over. So is it on that part of the street, or is it on the part that the county owns?
Council President, it's on Amboy Avenue on the township side.
I think you might have been looking more towards when the master plan would be heard before the planning board. I think that's figured for July 17th, but I'm going to confirm. In regards to the deer study, I received numerous items of information from the deputy chief, from our director of health, from Mr. Fagan. I just haven't had the opportunity to pull it together to try to work on the next step. I do apologize on the delay and take full ownership on that. Once I send out to see what the next action steps are, I'll definitely update. And in regards to the public advocate, I believe Councilman Brescher at Monday's meeting had mentioned that they are still working on, I don't know if...
Yep, actually, we had a meeting with the residents, actually the committee that exists, and the proposed ordinance, I believe Councilman Brescher was supposed to send it to the attorney, copying the council president, and probably you can take it from there. Not sure that happened, and that's where Councilman Brescher said that he's a little behind, but he's going to work through this week to get that out.
Thank you, and I hope I addressed all the questions. Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Schiff.
She had about the human relations. If you could speak to the mayor or someone, they've asked numerous amount of times, and they sent him emails and they sent him texts because they need to have a meeting place because the chairperson has resigned. So they know that this is being used on zoning for the 20th. And they want to know if they could use the one they used before up in the office up there that's locked down for the mayor. So if you could, contact him and then kind of get the information back to Miss Orchid.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Miss McAvoy. She usually situates the meetings.
Council President?
Yes.
I have 30 seconds of comments on the gas line issue on Amboy Avenue, that she asked a question about the mess. I can wait till after or now.
If I missed it as a question, I'll afford you the opportunity.
I'll be brief. She's absolutely right. The gas company did a terrible job on Amway Avenue with their outreach program. We're going door to door asking if anybody received notice prior to their cutting the street. The sad part is when utility companies come into Edison and pull apart our streets, it reflects on this administration, this council, which is not true. A utility company hires their own contractor and they make their mess. But I can assure you, I've been making several calls to their government affairs person. I have ripped on them today, yesterday, the day before. They had on day one, they had a traffic plan that I know was not something approved by our chief, because they were directing people down Hoover Avenue to turn around at the library and come back, which made no sense. I received probably 20 to 30 calls about several problems. And when they're finished with the job, they just don't wash the street properly. And it's downtown. I explained that to them. And people are drinking coffee outside, having ice cream, and dust is everywhere. So I'm hoping they have a discussion with their teams and do something about what's been going on. And hopefully there'll be some community benefit to the people who have stores full of dust and cars full of dust and windows full of dust. But I did get there. I promise you that. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. And again, if I had missed that as a question, I apologize. Next on the list, Mr. Diamond.
Sorry about that. Bruce Diamond, Calvert Avenue. I hope I'm pronouncing Ray's DPW director's last name correctly. Porio? Porio. I just want to say how wonderful it is to have a DPW director in this town finally who takes care of stuff. We got two lovely gardens. Parks are looking better. I get the impression there's more teamwork in the DPW, and it's been sorely missing for many, many years. It's nice to have a professional there finally. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next on the list, I believe this may have been the gentleman up here, Mr. Schkolnack. Yeah. And then as well as Mr. Choi. So I believe they had left. At this point, I'd like to open up to the public. Sir.
Thank you. Am I recognized?
I will ask name and address, understanding you can absolutely deny.
Absolutely.
You are recognized, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like a civilian police oversight committee to look to see what these cops are doing to oversee their body-worn cameras. I don't believe IA is doing a good job. In fact, I think IA is covering things up. Why is IA conspiring with Edison cops to maliciously falsify reports in order to maliciously prosecute residents? That's a good question, and I do have the proof on that. It's not a theory. Why is the mayor paying residents to attack other residents and also public officials? I was sent in my email some screenshots. I find it absolutely abhorrent. Everything that I knew was going on is going on. I sent you an email about that a long time ago. Does anyone want to have a comment on that? That here we are, we're creating these WhatsApp groups, and they're being directed by the mayor to attack all his enemies? I find that, like a Nazi communist type of atmosphere. This isn't North Korea. Today, I was in Highland Park, and something happened. There was a situation with a gun. Somebody might have pulled a gun on some kids. I was walking by. I was on my way to the store, and in such a serious situation, I want to Oprah request the body cameras, catalog it, save it, so in the future when I'm able to post again, I can put it on social media. I can't do this without the cops' name and badge numbers. Through the chair to Chief Bryan, is it policy for an officer to tell you, when you ask for name and badge number, are they supposed to let you know what their name and badge number is? Well, to your knowledge, today what happened is I asked somebody for their name and badge number, and they told me D's nuts. Do you find it through the
Council
chair?
President, point of order. His questions have to go through the Council President.
I just said Council President
It's
through the
okay.
Brian.
I don't
He's
want
out
your
of order.
I don't want your time to be elapsed on confrontation. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you. He's out of order.
He said point of order.
It's my time to speak. Lozman versus Riviera Beach. The clock started for me. So, in Rosenfeld versus New Jersey, even if I curse, I'm allowed to curse. So, but I'm not going to. You know, when I ask an officer for their name and badge number, for them to tell me these nuts, does not seem, you know, that doesn't seem appropriate to me. And then when the chief is saying, they always give their name and badge numbers. Why didn't Officer Sinclair give me his name and badge number today when I asked him?
Quite honestly, what are you referring to? Are you referring to the call for mutual aid in Highland Park, when Highland Park called for the Edison police to assist them?
Correct. Correct. I am.
Right, that was a volatile situation, and at that point,
It was-
not interfering.
It was over. Nobody was interfering. Nobody was interfering. It was over. All the Edison police officers were leaving the scene. And at that point, I'm allowed to ask for name and badge numbers so I can request it later. That's the proper way to do things. I didn't walk up in the middle of an investigation. So the guy gets in his car to drive away. First, he rolls up his window. Then he rolled his window down. I asked him again, name and badge number. These nuts. I'm going to get his recording to see if he told me to kiss these nuts. Then I'm going to file sexual harassment. You laugh about it, but I mean, it's not funny. It's really not funny. I try to talk to you when you come in here. You ignore me. I asked you the 4th of July to have a meeting with you. You told me to email you. We'll make a meeting, your assistant. None of that. None of that.
So are you referring to the vulgar email that you sent myself and elected officials?
I'm speaking. He can speak after me. He's out of order. It wasn't asked and answered. He's creating this narrative to make it seem like it's appropriate. This is what we have for the chief of police? He doesn't answer me. Instead, he just attacks me when I have statements. I find that absolutely disgusting. Everything I'm saying right now, it's legitimate. In regards to IA, is it appropriate for internal affairs officers to solicit victims to come in to do police reports and then falsify those police reports? I have the body-worn camera footage of it. I have the body-worn camera footage of Captain Revelle,
1 minute left.
Lieutenant Kenny, Officer Hetzel, possibly coaching a victim on what to say. That's absolutely disgusting. And it's those 3 fake cases that I have, that my rights were taken away. Council President, I agree with you, everyone has the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, but you are the government. We, the people, have those rights. You, as the government, do not have those rights. And, you know, here I am. You guys took my rights away from me. I can't even have an extra income to even help my mom while she has chemotherapy. And you want to play this game like Councilman Brescher somehow berated you or did something. First of all, when you go to recess, that's an executive session. How dare you come out of the executive session and tell members of the public what another council member told you? That's illegal.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Riquelme Casado, and I'm the property owner of 205 Jackson Avenue. We recently learned that the township plans on doing a whole restoration plan on Jackson Avenue. The only problem is we don't know about it. This plan, while it claims to be for the safety of the pedestrians going to the Greenway, for the students walking, and for the homeowners and for the area, I don't really think that your plan fits any type of safety because you have failed to really focus on some of the major issues on Jackson Ave. This plan greatly affects the homeowners as it includes the removal of our curves, some of these curves that we paid ourselves. The street will be widened by 2 feet on each side. I would be losing my curve and also some of my area. Now, does the street need widening? Who knows? But that's 2 feet from my neighbors and that's 2 feet from me. So my question for you is, this all sounds very good on paper. It sounds pretty, but I want to know how many of you have often visited Jackson Avenue? Multiple times a day, different times during school, in the summer. If you have, you would know that we have 15 plus wheelers passing on a regular basis. Your report says that 4 pass per day. That is false information. And I have a ring cam, and I can show you the videos. Now, how safe is it, right? I'm a bike rider. I live on Jackson Avenue. I use the Greenway. I use my sidewalk because I don't feel safe on the street. So my question to you is, how safe is it for me to ride my bike with my children next to 18-wheelers? Whether the street is narrow or widened. Now, how safe could it be for our kids to do so? Now, I have a middle schooler who's here and will speak. He walks to school every day, obviously. Now, he encounters many issues that he will mention himself because he's his own witness to the issues he faces. Now, I don't feel that your plan is safe for pedestrians, safe for people using the Greenway, safe for anybody involved. But that is the sole purpose of your plan. Sounds pretty. I know that you guys are all about research. Everything here requires a study. So my question is, where is this study? Where are the findings of this study? Where have you gathered the information that your plan meets any type of safety criteria for the people involved? I would like to know this research. I would like to know the findings. I would like to get my hands on it. I am not alone here. There are many residents who are property owners of Jackson Ave. Not one person was aware of your plan. But your plan has been approved, I've been told. Now, no teacher, no student, no property owner, no pedestrian was surveyed to ask what they feel would be a good safety plan for Jackson Avenue. Now, in my opinion, your solution is not it. I oppose your plan, and I'm here to state that. I am against the entire plan. Except for the paving, which I called years ago and was told there were streets worse than mine. That was the answer. So why don't instead we figure out a plan with the people that own properties here, with the parents who drive on the street on a daily basis to drop off their kids and pick them up, from the students that attend the school, from the community of Clara Barton who uses this entrance as a greenway. Now, we have 2 major businesses on the corner, which are also a problem. I've been in contact myself with COIL. I've been in contact with the officer assigned to our area. I have requested a number of things. People have come to my house. People have made promises to me. People have attempted and sent people for studies that I never got the answer to the findings. We have signs on our street that say no parking or standing. I am still in this belief that to this day, no one has been able to tell me who put the sign there, when was it placed, what were the conditions that determined that that side required no one to stand there or park. So we identified the issue at some point in life. Now, that sign is not on record according to our officer. That sign cannot be adhered to by the police that I call. Because again, it's not on record that we have this sign. But it is standing right there, and I please advise you to please come to the area. Come see our problems. You have failed us. You have failed to communicate your plan. You have failed to give us the right of information. You have failed us to give us the right to oppose the information, to give our opinion, and to be part of the plan. Now, I'm here to ask you to come to a meeting with the residents and come with a new plan, because I am not the only one here that opposes it. Now, here's my son. He will take his 6 minutes, and he will tell you what he faces on a day-to-day basis, because he walks that street every day and comes home the same way, along with many friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lucas Casado. I also live on 205 Jackson Avenue. I'm a 7th grader at Herbert Hoover Middle School. And in the mornings, at approximately 8 a.m., many trucks pass multiple times. Even after they added the one-way rules, it still doesn't get any better. Lately, they have not been following these rules, and no one is trying to enforce them. The trucks and other cars passing the school make it difficult for me to cross the street. Sometimes this causes me to leave to come to school at a later time. When I walk home from school, I encounter many similar situations. Many trucks and cars are rushing through the street. The vehicles make it complicated to get home. Sometimes I go up the crosswalk to arrive home, but then there are times when there is no crossing guard. There being no crossing guard makes it harder to cross the street because there are cars coming at from 3 different angles.
So as a child, if it was your child, I would like to know if you would be okay with that. So we don't just have an issue of safety. We have multiple issues.
I don't want to be rude just
That's
from a
okay.
general procedural standpoint, because he was recognized to speak and you had already spoken.
I just wanted to finalize the point that you guys should visit our area.
I appreciate it. To address some of the questions, and as someone who does frequent Jackson Avenue, it's one of my running routes, both from the Greenway up to Amboy, down to Gibeon, all the way through Little. I'm personally aware of the circumstance. In regards to if a study was determined, if I could ask our chief to possibly ask the traffic division if there's any record of any documentation that has been produced in the past, I think it would be helpful.
Council President, I'm sure there is. I have to look into that tomorrow. I mean, obviously.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. In regards to,
Council President, may I ask you a question?
yes,
Were the residents that live on that street, were they surveyed or asked or given any asked about the
I'll
street?
defer that to our BA, if that's okay.
I just want to clarify the resolution that went before the council, 288, that was to put in the application for the rehab of Jackson Avenue. So with that, there was several attachments, including cost estimate of the various improvements that were going to be put forth so we can apply for the grant. In addition to, there was some mapping with some what it looks like a engineering report and mapping. So I could provide any additional paperwork that may have been.
Yeah, but I just want to know, because I know by the library in Clara Barton, those residents all had to be a part in what was happening to their area and their street. So I just wanted to know if the residents there on Jackson Avenue had some kind of idea of what was going to come next. I know all about, because I know all about the police department, and Doug Turner used to be in charge of traffic, and he did like an outstanding job, like getting it, trying to get it safe for the children. All right. But I just want to know if the residents were okay with in the direction that we want to go to, because the residents, like I tell people, they have to live there. And so whatever happens afterwards, and after I hear this young child that's like having issues going back and forth to school, I don't think that's like fair for middle school children. I just don't think it's fair. I just think that I know it's great that we're trying to do all this stuff, but I just still think that the people who live there should have some say in their neighborhood.
Thank you. In regards to how safe for the kids with walking, I would agree with the assessment that sidewalks definitely need to be improved along the road. And I missed what you had questioned in regards to the sign. I do apologize. If it's okay, maybe after the meeting, I'll absolutely spend time with you to further discuss, because I know that there was the email correspondence. So I appreciate your understanding. Thank you. Sir?
Rich Sweeney, 313 Sutton's Lane. Through the chair to the chief.
Yes, go ahead.
Chief, I don't care what Mayor McCormick says. We have the finest police department in the state of New Jersey. But I said that I don't care what Mayor McGreevy says. We have the finest police department in the state of New Jersey. But one thing I want to ask you to do is to increase the enforcement on Sutton's Lane. I walk my dogs twice a day, 6:30 and 7 in the morning, and then in the afternoon. And I'm telling you, a car came down the road, I'm telling you, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If he lost his front end, like some other cars have on that bump, I would have been a dead man not speaking here today. And I would like to see more enforcement on Sutton's Lane. And I'd like to speak to you after the meeting about another situation that may alleviate some traffic there by the school. Another thing is this $300,000 scam that somebody scammed the township through the attorney. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Or through the vice president to the attorney.
Yes.
With the $300,000, I noticed there were some names that were involved in doing this. And it's also said that the insurance carriers are going to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
We're self-insured as a township, which means
No.
it comes.
No, we're not self-insured. We're a member of the Central Jersey Joint Insurance Fund.
Thank you.
And that's not self-insured. That's actually an insurance
Thank
fund.
you, sir. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to know that because, and I hope they go after these people that did this, because there was some three names that were brought up. Another thing is, I'd like to talk about youth sports in this town. And we just spoke about the football field on Park and Central. I'm for it. That's a great thing for the kids. But what I'm having a problem with our young kids in youth sports and the numbers that are down, I was the president of the Edison Angels for 6 years. That league was reputable around the country. In California, where the kids play 8 months out of the year. In Florida, where they play 8 months out of the year. We were reputable around the country. Today, there's no angels. There's no angels. It collapsed. The board that was in place, we fought hard for the deed for that property, not Mayor Spadoro, not Mayor Choi. The board that was in place. We went to BRAC meetings. We met with Bill Clinton and Hillary in the helicopter in Middlesex County College. And I just like to have somebody, I think I know what the answer is, why these leagues are dropping in numbers. And it's not a good thing for kids. It's socially good for them, and it's physically good for them. I blame the parents. Throw them phones away and make them go out and get some exercise. I blame the parents. You're only hurting your kids. And I see it with my grandkids. I can't believe with these phones, as well as my wife. I said that battery must be good.
And me, right?
Well, you need it. You need it as much.
You can say it. It's all right.
You need it as much as the phone calls you get. But I just like that. I mean, the lady that does recreation, she does an excellent job. And I would just like to have somebody look into it and come up with a solution to get these kids involved. I mean, like I just said, I blame the parents. It's not a healthy thing, physically and mentally. I mean, they socially adjust, but I don't want to keep going on about this. I can go on for days, but I like to have somebody look into it and see if we can come up with a solution to get these kids out. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I mean, and here we're spending $9 million. If the numbers aren't falling off at the Jets, I could tell you that. Sutton's Lane, please. More enforcement on that, Chief. I mean, it's bad. You got a school, you got a ball field, and you got 3 bumps. And they come off the ground. If they had wings, they'd be flying. But anyway, thank you. I want to congratulate all the new elected officials. Another thing is, this is the first time since I'm 18 years old I didn't vote. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I didn't vote. I supported Keith Hahn in a general election. I've been a registered Democrat my whole life. I can vote who I want to vote in a general election, but when I went to the polls, I'm a Republican, and I didn't even know it. But I don't know any Republicans. There's a reason why I voted for Keith Hahn, but I became a Republican, didn't even know it. Happy birthday, Donald Trump.
Daniel, I don't know if I missed any questions. Ma'am.
Hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Navrot. I am a resident of Jackson Avenue, 207 Jackson Avenue, so I guess better.
What address?
Thank you.
207 Jackson Avenue. My name is Margaret Navrot. So, Jackson Avenue. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
We can. So I guess you guys know what I'm going to be talking about. Same subject that Nikki and Lucas broached. I'm going to try not to repeat what they said, but thank you, Lucas, also because I think that the plan that you have presented, which we've finally managed to get a hold of, doesn't actually address anything that he mentioned. Thank you for actually thinking about revitalization of Jackson Avenue, because it really is sorely needed. But resurfacing the area and changing the curbs isn't going to fix the major problems that we have with that street. We don't know what is going to be done exactly, how it's going to affect us, because nobody on the street has been consulted. Between Nikki and I, we spoke to our neighbors, and about 7 households in all, not a single one of them was aware of anything happening. And I think that we have residents of the street. Hands up, please. At short notice, this is from today, this is who showed up, so not too bad. Everybody is invested in finding out how it's going to affect us. Exactly what does it mean for our property values, for our property taxes. So I think we do need a deeper conversation about this. It's not fair for things to be imposed on us instead of working with us. We don't even know when this project is about to start. One moment. She talked about this, she talked about this. I don't think the plan manages the traffic issue. It doesn't address the problems that we are having with it. It's actually geared towards making it easier for the traffic on the street and not improving the life of the residents there. I don't want to go into detail of all the issues that we have because 6 minutes is not going to be enough. I understand that Mr. Coyle has suggested that Nikki, you suggested a meeting. I'd like to be included in that, and I think maybe other residents will also like to attend, so I think we can talk about it in depth there. But please know, nobody is happy with this, what's been presented. And we'd like to have this on record, that this is the issue. Thank you. I think that takes care of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And in regards to the question you had asked when the project would start, the resolution that was passed was just for an application for a grant. I don't believe there's an exact start date. If I can ask our BA to clarify.
Typically, probably within the year, we would have some sort of conception of it. We need to receive the funding. I'm not sure if it's in, we spend the funds first and then, so I'd have to find out exactly what that means. We spend it and then we get the grant funding. But the first step was just to apply for the grant to actually, so there is, and just to our residents' question with regard to the financial implication, it's a grant, so it would not be on the taxpayers.
From what I can see, it's been approved.
That is for us to make the application.
Yeah, it's just to submit an application for funding. No, nothing has been approved.
Well, this just illustrates how confusing it is for us residents because we're not getting the story. So we'd like to know and be included, please. We are the ones that live there 24/7. It's nice to address the issues of pedestrians and everybody, but we'd like to know how this is going to affect our daily lives.
Thank you. Sir?
I'm Biral Patel, 11 Stanley Place, and I'm speaking here in my personal capacity. Thank you, Council President, for addressing the CSR and other issues. The residents very much appreciate it. I want to bring to everyone's attention here the dollar amount for the Latchkey Aftercare program. The Latchkey program charges $160 for the morning session, $220 for the afternoon session, and $350 per student for the combined morning and afternoon for a couple of hours of aftercare. Is the program affordable? In my opinion, yes. Is the program good? Very good. Recreation department does a wonderful job at the program. Plus of up to $700,000 from that program. So I would ask you, Council President, to look into it, find out how much surplus town has, and give whatever the amount is, give back money to the parents in terms of reducing the fees for the program. Every little bit helps. So if there is a $700,000 or any amount, which is a surplus, because the facilities are free for the township, and again, the program is good, and a lot of parents, a lot of students have tremendous benefit from the program for the aftercare and the parents as well. But I would respectfully ask to give money back in terms of reducing the fees, if you can, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take a look into it. Any first-time speakers? Sir?
Through Council President, I'd like to direct the question to the council, please. Don Tarr, 52 Reeder Road, Edison.
Thank you. And yes.
Is there some form of indemnification, save harmless, or representation that's provided to a council member should they be sued by someone else?
The New Jersey Tort Claims Act provides for it, correct. It's not an agreement, it's a statute.
Okay, and that would be provided, I assume, through your office?
No, not necessarily. Once again, I think somebody asked earlier, the township is insured by the Central Jersey Joint Insurance Fund.
I see. And
they assign counsel. Maybe my office, but generally is not.
No, I understand. And it's taxpayer monies pay for that insurance policy.
Well, the taxpayers pay a premium.
Yes.
But it's paid for by the insurance company.
So with that thought in mind, then, if a member of council would sue another member of council for doing their diligent duty as a council member, then taxpayers of Edison would, in essence, be funding that.
Not necessarily, because they're not all. Well, it's a complicated question. They're not all covered acts. For instance, if a councilman did something intentional, right, they would not be indemnified.
Okay, but in the rightful performance of their duties.
Well, once again, if it's an intentional wrongful act, then they would not. It depends on what the complaint says. I hate, as a lawyer, I hate to give an answer. It depends, but the answer is you're going to ask a broad question. I'm going to answer it. It depends.
Okay, I understand. I'd like to respond to just. We left the last meeting about 5 minutes before it ended. I wish we had stayed around, but we had another meeting to attend. But as a taxpayer in this community, as a person who's resided in this community for about 40 years, I find it repulsive when one member of council is visibly berating and attacking another and trying to bully another. I think that's reprehensible, it's repulsive, and to use a phrase that's frequently used at this mic, disgusting. There's no room for it. We have to maintain a level of decorum in our proceedings, and we should have some sort of good faith understanding among council members that that just doesn't happen. Whether it happens here or whether the screaming match happens in the back room. There is never a reason for that. Never. And we should not, as taxpayers, have to sit here and watch it or listen to it. So hopefully that will not happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other first-time speakers? Second time, rebuttal?
Thank you. I hope what happens at the last meeting continues to happen. It's very healthy when council members disagree with each other.
Not to interrupt, please don't start his time.
This is
What's
his
up,
first
Bryce?
time, not a rebuttal.
No,
I just rebutted what he said. He
No, sorry. They're questioning whether you had spoken first time for oral petition remarks, but you had spoken before when
I
you
have.
had
Yes, I
discussed
did.
with the chief.
I'm on rebuttal now.
Thank you. And you're recognized. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I disagree with what the last speaker said. I think when council members argue with each other, it's a healthy conversation. That's called democracy. If you don't want to be part of that healthy conversation, you can always drop out. So, yeah. What the lawyer was trying to explain is, yes, you can be sued in your personal capacity. Given Council President Pointer, I do feel that you do try your best, and there's many times where I do feel that you try to respect my rights. Unlike the last Council President.
Point of order, Council President, this is not a rebuttal. He's just paraphrasing
No, I'm not.
what's been said before.
Council
It's
President,
not a
you're
rebuttal.
the one.
Sir, I believe he's speaking on a matter which the other residents spoke on. I made very clearly that it's not in regards to, and please stop his time so I'm not taking it. I made very clear that if it's in regards to a comment made by another member of the public in which they disagree, they're entitled to speak in regards to the rebuttal. So I feel that is a proper rebuttal. Thank you. Please start his time.
I'm rebutting what Mr. Tarr has to say. If he would have been a little patient, he would have understood what I was speaking about. So I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Council President Pointer. You know, I do believe you do try. And I just want to say, you know, it is your first year as councilman. It's not easy to know everything being in your first year, but in your first year, they also put you in the council president role. So would have been a little difficult, and I'll switch. But when I came up, how much time do I have left? Minute and a half. I don't like that I took the time out of my day to come up here to complain that a police officer didn't give me their name and badge. I'm
Council President, this is not a
rebutting what
rebuttal.
Sweeney said
This
that
is
we
not
have
a
the best
rebuttal.
cops. No, we do not have the best cops.
Just make it
and
a
the
rebuttal.
reason why we do not have the best cops is because when I'm asking for their name and badge number, they're telling me these nuts. When I come to the public meeting, I walked all the way here to complain about it, and you know, right away, as abusers typically do, they blame their victims, they gaslight their victims, they make excuses for bad cops. No. I came here to complain what was said to me, and right away, we're already putting a spin on it. It was a volatile situation. Well, you weren't there. You didn't see what was going on. It might have been a volatile situation previously. And then, you know, and then what happened later? Absolutely disgusting. I asked why I'm not getting an appointment. He claims some emails that are vulgar. Is this not the United States of America? Are people not allowed to express themselves any way they see fit? It seems to me, thank you.
Speaker's time has elapsed. Any other first-time speakers? Ma'am?
Council President, I commend you on what you did at the last
Just
meeting.
out of,
Lois Tarr, 52 Reader Road.
Thank you.
I commend you on what you did at the last meeting. It was overdue and well-spoken and pointed out some very important information to the public. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Diana Jaffe, 86 Laurel Hollow Court.
Thank you.
I just want to
make a comment that there is a difference between speaking your mind and having discussions, healthy differences of opinion, as opposed to being toxic, disrespectful, and unprofessional. And I also thank you for how you responded last night, even though I wasn't here at the end. But I just want to tell you that I was very disappointed in the councilman. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other first-time speakers? Any other rebuttals? Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public
Second.
portion.
Motion by Council Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Coyle. All
Council
in favor?
President?
Oh,
I want to say something about
We're going
Juneteenth.
to close
we
the
just
public
closed the
portion
public
first?
portion
Oh, we
first.
did- Okay.
All in favor to close the public portion?
Aye.
Aye. Public portion is closed. Council comment, Councilwoman
Yeah,
Schifrin?
I'm very, very disappointed in this town, but I'm okay with the school system that a federal holiday, Juneteenth. Rest of the towns, the rest of the federal buildings are closed on the 15th or either the 17th. They're closed on the Friday or either the Monday. I just see it as, disrespectful because you can say stuff to certain people, but, it doesn't matter. But I just feel highly offended that we would have a federal holiday put into place. So, and anybody who would like to see a flag raising on Monday, you can go over to Perth Amboy because they're doing it at 12 o'clock on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Vice President Harris, second by Councilman Patel. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? This meeting stands adjourned.